What's good, everybody? It's been about a week, and yours truly has come back to give you guys yet another sermon on the Street Fighter 6 shit and more things fighting game related. You dig? But, I thought it would be fun to talk about an event that I actually went to yesterday after um, quite literally a month of just not going out anywhere. Considering what I kind of had packed, IRL and stuff. So making any moves to head out to any of these like local events is it became impossible, because already like yeah, at the times that most events start, during the weekdays and stuff, excuse me, I don't know why I think I'm getting sick, but it's really hard, especially when most of these events are usually an hour away minimum. And I've already spoke about all that before, but it's just more of the same situation here, right? But since this event was held yesterday on a Saturday, um, I had the time for that, right? But I'm not gonna lie, my actual decision to actually like pull up was it was like an overnight decision, right? Because I wasn't even sure if I really wanted to like pop out, considering that there's just like other things that I do outside of like fighting games and stuff, like this is not the biggest thing to me. It's just a finger that's a part of a bigger hand. But I'm actually really glad I came out to the event and stuff. I usually do like have a good time coming out to dash bracket, and shout outs to Nixia too, right? Like she's been real cool every time I've interacted with her, and she's been doing a lot to like pull some strings through to hold these events too. She will not be running these events no more, and I wish her the best, in her upcoming future, because she'll be out the region and stuff. Not gonna say where, and you know, where it is that she's gonna pass this on to somebody else, and um, whoever that may be in the near future, like, I wish them the best of luck to make these events, um, maintain their healthy growth, and sustainability. But moving on and getting to into actual bracket, right? Like, I was actually surprised out of this right here. I came in fifth, right? But uh, the results surprised me because the night before, like, I'm not gonna lie, I am a lot more of a night owl, so I'll be up until like midnight, like 12 to 1, at most probably 2, and on some rare days like even like till like 3, right? Because I'm not like everybody else that gets up early in the morning. I don't even work in the morning, so currently the way I'm situated right now, like, I'm able to get away with that. At the same time, I don't purposely try to be up that late myself, because I think there is still an advantage to like waking up early in the morning, because you have so much that you could get you there's a lot you could get done, like if you start your day out earlier. But it's just that I don't know, I'm young, I'm healthy and stuff. I got so much energy that seems to be endless and stuff. So by the end of the day, even if I'm at home and stuff, like, I still gotta be up and do something. That's just me. So, your boy will still be up by midnight, doing something at least, right? And woke up at 7, which was something that I wasn't really anticipating until I got a phone call that woke me up. And then from there, I'm not gonna lie, I started to get a bit worried on, how I would perform, in this bracket, because it was already late by the time that I went to sleep, right? It was probably like around 2 or 3. And I woke up at 7 and didn't go back to sleep there. And I was like, damn, dude, But you know, I to myself, I thought it would have been best to probably just like thug it out and stuff. Just because I did want to go, and also, you know, I could at least go to like, you know, show my own like support, you know, by just entering bracket in some kind of way. Even though I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I thought I was gonna go 0 2 again. Um, because usually when these situations happen, like I usually cannot play any fighting game to save my life. But surprisingly, somehow, I still had a part of my brain that was awake enough to actually help me pull through and win enough games to put me in the fifth place, right? And if you look at this like 2-0, 2-1, 2-0, Dark killed me 2-0, but this was a lot closer than the last game that I had with him, which was at the stream setup on a PS5 with a shitty monitor. Fucking atrocious, dude. Like it's been a while since I played on jank like that too, so I really didn't adapt at all to it. So but that's on me, you know. And honestly, like it's fine, you know. I got in my kills during bracket and stuff. This was a close one. I hate Alex. And you know, it was a good time all around, you know. Just catching up with the guys that I've known throughout the past couple of years, heading out to these events too. And if you notice anything, like you probably see the name of someone else who entered, which is you know, North America, probably one of, I don't know if he's the, no, I don't think he's the only one. But as far as I know, like he's the best Jamie and NA that we got, man. I'm not, I feel like there was another Jamie player. I'm showing my retardation and ignorance on this, but I know y'all know who Azan is and stuff, right? Like bro shut up, and you know, as we can see here, like he lost one game to Tropic, which is another player that's he's grown a lot since the first time I've met him, you know, like during that time I was beating him and stuff, but you know, he's been a lot more dedicated to this than probably uh everybody else, you know, that's shown up in bracket, you know, and managed to put Azan down to losers. And then, you know, Azan did what he did and just like, you know, mollywopped everybody out here and stuff, and brought it back on Tropic with 3-1. And then during grand finals, which I'm pretty sure this was actually a 3-2, because I think I remember Rec winning like two games and shit. But then again, like during that game too, I was having a conversation with two other guys there, so my eyes wasn't entirely peeled on this match, but they were very close rounds, you know. And then during the reset, like this is accurate, the 3-1 right here. Um, from what I gathered, like Rec just kind of like lost his own like momentum with being able to keep up with what Azan had going on, you know. But you know, he can voice on. I'm not gonna speak on what another man had in his head, you know, but that's just kind of what I perceived. And you know, of course, like it's no surprise that it was Azan that you know, took this bracket, you know. And shout outs to him, because he's cool to talk to, you know, if you have ever met him in person, right? Very soft spoken individual. But that pretty much was the entire bracket, as far as like where my performance stepped in and stuff. I already showed you my matches and stuff, and of course this was my very short and cut run at the at top 8 and loser side, which, like I said, I actually was surprised I still had enough of my head awake enough to win at least one game, you know. I don't know. It's something that I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of hard. Like it's kind of hard for me to like know if I'm like good enough to really like perform, you know, or good enough in the sense to where like I'm fresh, I'm like awake enough to play any fighting game. Because sometimes even days where I feel like good, I'm actually like not locked in, right? It's like something in my head that kind of has its own like switches on its own automatically when it wants to. And it's something that I've been trying to like kind of dissect and understand like what that is and stuff, you know. But um you know, like it is what it is, cuz at the end of the day like I got top 8 there and stuff, and as far as like these brackets go, like I took one at least, right? So it's not like I was pressed about making it to like grands and taking the bracket for myself too, you know. It's not something that I'll lose my sleep over. But it was just good to be at the event, you know. And after being a month away from anything, like it was a good reminder to myself, like as to why I even like bother to come out, you know, because it is good to just like hang and talk with some of the folk there, you know, because you know, in a niche as small as this, even in the video game space, right? Like, where else are you gonna go out to, you know, talk shit with other people about like fighting games and stuff, you know? The only other spot that you got are the locals. And even with some of the like one of the players that I matched up with during like my first like couple of games at the bracket, like one of the guys was actually new, and the only other event he's been to was Evo, and then he had told me that that was actually the first event that got him like interested enough to pick up, you know, Street Fighter 6, which is kind of been the theme at these events. Like, and what I mean by that is like usually when I come out to like any one of these kinds of brackets, especially some of the bigger ones in the region, there's always like a player or two that I match up with that tell me like they're new and stuff. This is the first time coming out, and then like you know we would play, and you know just based off the experience alone, obviously I would win, but I would always tell them this, right? Like none of the results that happen here and now, even the match that we play, matter because at the end of the day, like what I have going for myself alone to allow me to like play through these matches and win them is just off of experience alone, you know? Because I've already been going out like 3 years now, right? And even compared to some of the guys that I've met and stuff, they've been doing this shit for like way longer, right? Um, but you know, it's just something that I tell people to kind of like remind them to keep their head up and stuff, and always like look forward and stuff, and then continue to walk, you know, that path if they do endeavor to like make shit happen with this like fighting game shit, you know, especially offline. Like you gotta be willing to you know, walk forward past like you know, your losses and stuff, you know, because I mean, like even I'm still doing this up to this day. Like there's still only like a handful of brackets that I have won and stuff, you know, and then I'm entering brackets with guys that like I mean, for one, we got a Zon who's actually won, like who's been first at like much bigger events, especially offline, like at TNS and stuff and motivational, right? So it's like um you know, you just have to accept that you'll run into guys like this, right? But if you are someone that's um you know, entering these events in with the intention to actually be at first, right? Then you still have to be willing to bet on yourself, you know? And that's something that even Azan had told me and shit. I mentioned this before, but I remember telling him once like that in my head that, you know, whatever happens, happens and stuff at these events, And I wasn't really too pressed on much of the results. But then he had told me like some shit like, well, I mean, we gotta be at these events, we gotta be willing to bet on ourselves. Like I'm translating this in my words. I couldn't give you like word for word what he had told me, but he basically said like we got to believe in ourselves and shit and tell ourselves that we're gonna be the ones, or like that I'm gonna be the one to take bracket and stuff. I'm gonna be at first and stuff. I'm like, dang, for someone as quiet as he is and stuff, like it was kind of a surprise to me that he would say something like this, right? But it's not a surprise, considering at the level where he's at and stuff, and how he's, taking every event that I see him at the local scene. So it got me thinking about like how my attitude was about all this shit, right? But at the same time, it's something that I've told time and time again, not just on the channel, but against towards multiple people, right? It's not like I don't understand that, my frame of thinking, but do I want to, you know, put that on Street Fighter 6 is the question, right? And that's something that I'm pretty sure comes across the thoughts of a lot of players like myself. Um, because I'm not gonna lie, if I put that towards anything, it's gonna be to another game that is similar to Dragon Ball, right? Which obviously the big name right now is Tokon, but with everything that's kind of been going on, I mean, as of yesterday, I heard news that they're working on like reducing a lot of the bans on like the list of countries that they banned from being able to access the game. Because I am hoping to God that the player base is huge in that game. And then once Tokon comes around, dude, like it's whoo, I don't even know how to describe it, man. But it's just something so, I just have this vision. And I wish I could put it into words for y'all, but at the time, at the as of now, I'm gonna just have to let things be as they are, and not say a word. But y'all can't see my face behind the mic, but damn, do I have the strongest smile right now. And I'll tell you what, man. All I see is nothing but good things, man. Nothing but good things. But I don't even want to eat my own words, right? That's why I don't even like to speak in that kind of way, because um, expectation opens you up for disappointment too. But at the same time, I am starting to see the value in what I've said before in placing bets on yourself. And in some things in life, we really do have, because every time you come in the bracket and stuff, it's a gamble. You really don't know what's gonna happen until you go through the matches and stuff, right? Like it's literally what I just said. There are some brackets and where think, like, I felt good and I thought I was good, performed horribly. And as of this one right here, I felt rocky in the morning, thought I was gonna do bad, ended up fifth, top eight. So I don't know. I just can't. You just really can't put all your money on like how you feel that day, or like the time before like you actually start bracketing stuff, right? It's something that even I have to learn to not get fooled by, because even things like what you believe at the time could be a veil for what the outcome might actually be in the future that is to be. Like, you just have to step through the door to really see what's on the other side, versus just trying to like you know enter a lot of math equations in your own head to try to predict what may happen. And maybe what you put in your head might actually like manifest itself, you know? But then at the same time it's like, did it happen because it was destined to be, or did it happen because you allowed yourself to bring those factors together to get that outcome, essentially, like you end up putting yourself in a position to where you ended up failing because you just you know you condition yourself mentally to where now you begin to perform in a way to where it got you that outcome of like losing and stuff, because you can literally, you know, think your way into and thinking and act on those thoughts into self-sabotaging yourself, right? And that's something that I haven't really ever talked about. And honestly, it's something that I probably should do. And actually, I think I will do that because people don't realize a lot of the things that they say to themselves or do is actually like very self-sabotaging towards their goals and stuff, And I see it a lot out of people. And it's not just it's not even this scene, right? But I could get into that considering that a lot of what people ingest is like a lot of what people say on Twitter, especially for the people that are more chronically stuck on the internet. That's why I don't even have a Twitter, bro. Or call it X. I don't give a fuck. Because a lot of that conditions you to adopt that self-sabotaging mindset. And what good does that do for you? You just train yourself to cry and complain more about your problems versus doing the things that without putting the effort and stuff, you're able to actually make change and, obtain the things that you desire or want, or something that's better than what you're getting now, which is essentially nothing, of value. And every individual has to at some point come to that climax point and decide whether or not they want to adapt and make certain changes to themselves to put them in an upward trajectory, right? Because honestly, nowadays with people, bruh, if I were to really get into that, like, hey, people are a lot more willing to give up now than ever. And I don't know, for yours truly, no matter what state I am in, like, I always have to maintain some part of myself that is content, with what I have now. And also be um available. Be available to something more, something better than what I have now, right? Or because if you want actual change in like just life in general, you have to be willing to be open to new things and stuff, to new perspectives and new ideas, and the willingness to act, because you're not just gonna think yourself into a new life and stuff. You actually got to do something like physical to make that change. Is it easier said than done? Yes, but is it something that still needs to be done in order to make it happen? Yes. Like, that's I don't know. I don't think anything else needs to be really explained much there. It's just, I don't know. I feel like the message is quite direct and stuff, I don't really need to go any deeper with that because, sometimes the message is explained enough on its own. But I'm gonna cut things out right here because, it's 11:18 right now, and there are a lot of things that I like to do throughout the day, especially with the time I have. I'm gonna take full advantage of getting just, the general stuff done, like simple chores probably around the house. And also time to just spend outside, even though I don't know. The weather's looking kind of iffy right now, but hey, man, I like to be outside, you know. So I'm gonna get up on out of here and stuff. Um, if any, like, well, like I said and stuff, I don't really do much to promote my own channel and stuff, but if y'all enjoyed the video, you know, like, share, comment, subscribe. You dig? And honestly, there's a lot of things that I really want to get to, you know, but I'm in my head whether or not I want to put this all into fighting game stuff, you know, because honestly, I realize that a lot of the things that I have in my head that I do want to share is it's still, it branches far past like what fighting games are. So I was thinking about using a like the other channel that I have to, you know, put all those ideas and thoughts onto there so that, you know, this could still be more like fighting game focused, while the other channel could be a lot more, um, you know, uh, it can be a lot more dynamic and mixed with like what kind of content is there, you know, a lot more diverse. That's the word I was trying to say, diverse and shit. I don't know why my head just freezes there, but you know, more on that in the future. And as far as here, like, you know, I'm gonna get up on out of here. You know, everybody stay safe out there and shit in this crazy world. And this is Infinite 47, and I'll be seeing y'all around. Peace.